Good morning, cohort, and welcome to week 7 of organizational behavior. Our theme is organizational change, and I will be doing a synopsis of reading number 41 from our text, Transforming Organizations, Why Firms Fail by John Kotter. This work continues to discuss the fact that change is inevitable as well as the downsides of making changes. However, there are aspects of change that are avoidable if organizational leaders and managers don't make 8 common mistakes. This presentation will share information on each of the 8 errors and briefly discuss how Professor Kotter has expanded the scope of his work from 1995. John Kotter is considered to be an internationally known and highly regarded speaker on the topics of leadership and change. From the Harvard Business Review, he states, leaders who successfully transform businesses do 8 things right, and they do them in the right order. The first mistake or error that is commonly made is allowing too much complacency. In this case, a leader does not establish a sense of urgency in the fellow managers and employees. Then you have high complacency levels that fail the objectives for transformation. Some reasons for complacency include overestimations on how much you can force a big change, how hard it is to move people out of their comfort zones, and a lack of patience on the behalf of the leader. When you think about complacency, normally you think of a laid-back situation, but there are situations where complacency can cause anxiety and more resistance to the change than is pretty much standard for such a situation. Without urgency, the status quo is abundant and the necessary sacrifices aren't made by the employees so that you have the sustained change that is necessary. The second error is failing to create a sufficiently powerful guiding coalition. In the text, they refer to a coalition, but this is essentially a team that pulls together. It is very difficult for an individual, regardless of how gifted and talented they are, to have the competency to create change all alone. When you establish your coalition, it is necessary that the group use information, expertise, relationships, and the capacity for leadership in order to facilitate successful change. When you have a powerful coalition, you have the initiatives being supported, and it is necessary for guidance through the process. I know a personal pet peeve of mine is for people who have the title of leaders, however, they won't do the work or lead and guide people so that they're able to grow and make the necessary changes. In cases where you do not have a powerful guiding coalition, you generally will have structural change, but you will not have behavioral change, which will be long-lasting and sustainable. Without powerful guiding coalitions, you also have passive resistance behaviors emerge, and you tend to focus more on the bureaucracy instead of the customer satisfaction aspects of transformation. Error number 3 is underestimating the power of a vision. A vision says something that clarifies the direction in which an organization needs to move. It's important that a vision be sensible in order for successful transformation. Whatever the vision is should direct, align, and inspire everything that's going to go on towards reaching that goal. And it's important to remember that plans and programs cannot replace the role of a vision. A sense of direction needs to be simple and clear in order for it to be useful. Kotter believes that if you can communicate your vision in 5 minutes or less, and the person that you're talking to does not understand and is not interested in what you're talking about, then your vision is not done. This particular error also brought to mind the scripture in Proverbs 29:18 that says, where there is no vision, the people perish. Error number 4 is under communicating the vision by a factor of 10 or 100 or even 1,000. I took that to mean that when the vision is not communicated, no matter how small or how large that lack of communication is, it is crucially important. and can be detrimental to the success of the transformation. It is important that leaders communicate the benefits of the change and make it believable for employees that this is achievable so that they will make the sacrifices necessary. Employees need credible, frequent communication that captures their heart and mind in order to cause major change. This goes back to some of those motivational theories that we discussed previously in this course. If you have a pretty good vision and little communication, employees don't understand the new approach. If the employees don't understand what they're supposed to do, it will be very difficult for the change to be made. My favorite part of this section was the discussion about communication being in the form of both words and deeds. And the text said that deeds are the most powerful form of communication. Behavior that is contradictory to the verbal communication can easily undermine change. This is so important when we think about modeling good behavior and modeling your expectations, because when you have contradictory behaviors against what is verbally communicated, you will cause some problems with your culture, and employees do not flourish under hypocrisy. Error number 5 was permitting obstacles to block the new vision. A lot of times you will have employees that perceive there to be obstacles in their path, and sometimes these obstacles aren't truly obstacles, they are just things that are in their minds. But it's important that you embrace even those employee perceptions so that you can make sure that you're addressing their needs so that they're able to fully embrace the new vision. Whenever confronting obstacles is avoided, employees are disempowered, and the change is also, again, undermined. This is a word that comes up frequently in our reading. It is so important that challenges and obstacles be addressed, because letting them go causes more problems. The textbook talks about Ralph, who was a senior executive who really did not have buy-in in a situation, and his behavior continued. HR didn't know how to address an executive. They didn't want to get rid of him because of his high rank in the organization, and he pretty much slowed down the progress to what you would consider probably a crawl. So it's important to acknowledge things and not ignore them, because most of the time those problems are not going to go away. They're going to fester and become more serious situations. Error number 6 is failing to create short-term wins. Real transformation does take time, and you need to have short-term goals in the interim. Within 6 to 18 months, employees need to see progress towards those goals. And when you don't have short-term wins, it can cause resistance or either concession on the behalf of the employees. They just give up. So it's important that you have intermittent steps and that you're monitoring the progress you're making towards your goals. As managers, we cannot just hope that these progresses and short-term wins are going to happen. We have to actively create short-term wins. So that means that managers have to do work to make this happen. And that again goes back to communicating the vision and making sure that you are removing any obstacles to the vision. Short-term pressure can be useful in the change process. It keeps down complacency and also encourages analytical thinking. Declaring the victory too soon is error number 7. In this situation, it is possible that when you start to see some progress, you think that you have arrived at that final destination when it's actually only a small win. It can take 3 to 10 years for a change to deeply absorb into an organization's culture, and you need to make sure that you have evidence that the original goals are accomplished. Be patient and allow enough time to finish the work and to make it stick. Premature declaration of a victory stops the momentum, and it is way more difficult to get employees to start over than to keep them on the same track that they need. Error number 8 deals with neglecting to anchor changes firmly in the corporate culture. Once true change occurs, it must become a part of culture norms and the shared vision. Whatever changes have been implemented need to come from that philosophy of this is the way we do things around here. At this stage, it is important that the managers explain how the specific actions of the group improve the performance, and don't leave it to employees to make those connections. You need to make sure that they understand exactly why there was success and how they need to sustain that change. You need to ensure that the next generation has fully implemented the new approach if there is a change in leadership. I have shared information that discusses the 8 mistakes organizational leaders make that result in unsuccessful change. Remember that as managers and leaders, we must not ignore the fact that transformation is a process and not a single event. Stages that build on each other take time, maybe even years. It is important that we understand that these 8 stages boost the chances of successful transformation so that we can avoid quality programs that don't deliver hoped for results, downsizing that doesn't get costs under control, re-engineering that can take too long and cost too much, acquisitions that don't achieve expected synergies, and new strategies that are not implemented well. While researching the background information on why firms fail and also other works by Kotter, I discovered that he recognized the need for change, and he wrote another book that expanded the scope of the 8 steps that is called Accelerate, Building Strategic Agility for a Faster Moving World. And in this book, he starts to talk about how the 21st century has evolved and there is a need for more organizational change. His big focus is on a big opportunity that can lead to significant outcomes, and he takes those 8 steps and kind of reformats them and expounds upon them in order to determine that there are actually 8 accelerators. On the bottom of the slide, I have included a link if you're interested in reviewing this work where you can receive a free ebook. I know that you are all working very hard and we are almost at the finish line. So to accompany this presentation, I'm going to pose 2 discussion questions. However, you only need to respond to one of the questions. The first question is, describe how the leadership required to drive avoiding the 8 mistakes means more than good management. Or, how would you prioritize the 8 errors discussed this week? Explain which you view most important and why. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope you have an awesome week.